It's Work-Life Balance Week in my Zen Your Work in 2020 challenge. Now, if you aren't a part of the challenge and you want to join, super easy. Just go over to zenworkplace.com, click the Join the Community link in the upper menu. It'll take you right in. You want to join the Groups tab at that point, and the challenge is right there. And even if you're watching this video after January of 2020, it's still going to be there. I'm not going to take it down for a good little bit. Now, we're talking about work-life balance this week. So far, we've done a couple of things. I had you do an inventory of what your current work-life balance was on a scale of 1 to 10. Is it good, bad, indifferent, and what you need to do in order to move the needle. We also talked about time wasters at work, because if you're going to care about your work-life balance and really make concerted changes, you want to make sure you're really taking advantage of your time at work so you don't feel compelled to bring that laptop home with you, be answering emails at all hours of the night. Now, today we're going to talk about prioritizing and saying no. I do want to point out, I'm going to go through a couple things really quick in this video. You can do the exercises based on the video, and that's totally fine. But the really good stuff is going to come if you have my book, Zen Your Work. Chapter 12 is all about work-life balance, and it goes into much greater depth all about the exercises that will really help you create the plan to make sure you are getting your internal needs met. Today we're going to talk about prioritizing. Now, I already had you do that little inventory a couple days ago, but now I want you to really make some commitments. I want you to think about, just in your general life, what are your top priorities? And it's okay if work is on the list. That's totally fine. For a lot of people, it's going to be right up there. But is it family? Is it your health? Is it making sure you have time for your hobbies? Is it taking care of your spiritual needs? What are your top priorities? What you want to do is maybe start with a little bit of a brainstorm. What are the things that are most important to me to maintain my mental health, my sanity, and my wellness? Like, take out a piece of paper and just brainstorm. Just do total stream of thought writing. Whatever comes to your mind, write it down on the piece of paper. We're going to deal with it later. Then once you've got your nice little brainstorm, I want you to go through that piece of paper and pick out, okay, top 3 things. What are the most important things to me right now? And we're going to do this little exercise for each of your top 3 priorities. First, you're going to list what it is. Next, you're going to write, this is important because, list out your reason why this is one of your priorities. Third, you're going to make a really concerted effort to understand what would happen if you made sure this was part of your day. What would that impact be? How is it going to make your life better? How is it going to make you feel better? How is it going to get you to the absolute top of your game? This is your why. We only make changes in our life when we've got a really, really, really important reason to do it. So this is helping you to define your why for your top priority, and then for priority 2 and for priority 3. We want to make sure you are seeing these things as worthy of making changes in your life, because you know what's going to happen next. I'm going to ask you to make sacrifice. Ask you to make some sacrifices. Now, in this one, she's sacrificing for the diet, right? A great New Year's resolution. But I already talked about this a little bit earlier this week. Listen, in order to achieve your work-life balance, you're going to have to let some stuff go. It is just what it is. You have to think about, what can you let go that isn't serving these top priorities? What can you let kind of fall away? Or maybe how can you redirect your energy in order to be able to free up your time to meet these needs? What will you sacrifice in this process? Now, the other day I had you do a general brainstorm. Today, I want you to start making some commitments. I want you to write it down on a piece of paper. The thing of it is anytime you want to make changes in your life, it is a simple 3-step process. Think, speak, do. Think about it, visualize yourself doing it in your head, speak it out loud, or in this case, maybe write it down on a piece of paper, because once we say something out loud or we write it down, we've brought it into the real world. We've taken it out of the realm of thought and we've made it tangible. Then your only step left is to actually go and do it. Think, speak, do. So write down, what will you sacrifice in order to honor those priorities? And this, in some respects, is a little bit of a letting go process. There's a little bit of a mourning process involved. If you've seen the movie Rocket Man, there is a line in it that I absolutely love. He says something to the effect of, I might butcher it a little bit, but I had to kill off who I was to become the person I wanted to be. Kill off who you are to become the person you want to be. It's a little bit morbid when you think about killing yourself off, but this is very literally a release. When you let things go, you are saying no more. I'm this person right now with these priorities that are not allowing me to have the work-life balance I want to have. That's not the person I want to be anymore. I want to be this person over here. In order to become that new person, you have to kill off the old person. Now, you can still retain the good stuff, but think of this as a new you, a new focus, a new way of being. That's how you're going to get your work-life balance back in check. And listen, I'm not going to lie. This takes some determination, and particularly at work, sometimes you're going to have to say no to people. In order to honor those priorities that we have just established, you are going to have to say no. So I have a few tips. I'm going to end this with a couple of tips for saying no. Number one, know what your boundaries are. Your priorities should influence what your boundaries are. So in order to honor your priorities, what boundaries do you have to set? Are you going to say, one of my boundaries is I'm not taking that laptop home at night? One of the boundaries is I'm not answering emails at 2 a.m. I'm not working on the weekends. I'm leaving at 5 o'clock. I'm not showing up until work until 9 a.m. I'm not coming in early. What are the boundaries that you want to set? Now, inevitably at work, one of the things that really impacts our boundaries and our work-life balance a lot of times is saying no to people when they ask us for things. Now, some work styles have an easier time of saying no than others, but listen, a few quick tips about this. Number one, I want you to be confident when you tell someone no. So always keep in mind your body language. Are you standing straight up? Do you have your shoulders back? Do you have an open body language? There is a big difference in how we present based simply on how we carry ourselves. If you're hunched over like this or all contracted, you're not going to present as confidently as you possibly could. So you want to make sure your body language is in check. Now, when you say no to people, what I find to be really helpful is to, first of all, explain the why. No, I can't do this because of reason X, Y, Z. A lot of times to come on board with something, people need to understand the why as a part of the process. It helps gain buy-in. That's a good buy-in tip in general, but specifically if you're trying to get them to be okay with you saying no, make sure you explain why. You're not just saying no willy-nilly. You're not just saying no because you don't like them and want to mess up their day. You're saying no for a reason. Another thing you could do is offer an alternative. I can't do this because I need to leave at 5 to go pick up my kids, but what if I got it to you first thing in the morning? Simple, you've offered an alternative. Or, what if we try doing it this way instead? Think about what they're actually trying to achieve and how you can serve that goal, because it just might not be in the way that they originally wanted. And at this point, even if they do kind of come back at you and get a little uppity about it, you're the one that's presented flexibility. You've done your job. We're not worried about their reaction. A lot of this mindfulness stuff that I've been teaching you, it's all about really taking responsibility for your contribution, letting someone's reaction be their responsibility. It is not your responsibility to help them control their response. That is their responsibility. And this is about teaching people how to treat us, right? I guarantee you, if you never say no to people, people will take as much as they can get. When you start saying no, what happens is you start seeing people adapt to that new normal. As long as you're consistent about it, you're nice about it, you don't try to do it in a mean way that makes people feel bad. But if you're just lovely, offer alternatives, offer different solutions, people will start to adapt because they are going to be able to see that they're still getting what they need. You're being flexible, you're helping them out. You may just not be doing it at a moment's notice. And ultimately, people really care about getting what they need at the end of the day. If they see you as someone that's reasonable, that can work with them, they're going to respond to that over time. Lastly, big tip. Do not feel guilty about this. In order to do your best work, in order to show up and serve people to the very best of your ability, you have to know that you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing for yourself. You're doing the right thing for your internal needs, because if your internal needs are not taken care of, then you are never going to be able to show up and do your best work. So do not feel guilty. If you find yourself feeling guilty, what I want you to do, go back to your why. Go back to remind yourself about why you're doing this, the impact that you have, and give yourself permission. Tell yourself it's okay. It's okay for me to take care of myself. There's nothing wrong with it.